This is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist, and I'd like to welcome you to the September edition of my year-long podcast series on creating a more effective compliance program. Each month during this year, I'm focusing on a different topic which will help you create a more effective compliance program. And for the month of September, I'm going to focus on innovation in compliance. First, a word from this month's sponsor, Oversight Systems.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. Oversight's artificial intelligence platform takes a comprehensive, multidimensional approach to identifying anomalies that are suggestive of bribery and corruption. Our analytics look across various dimensions such as employees, attendees, vendors, and countries over an extended time period. This enables us to identify employees exhibiting patterns of potentially improper behavior or collusion that are difficult to detect by auditing a single transaction at a time. Based on the analysis, employees or vendors engaged in risky behavior are presented in a risk-ranked format for easy examination. Remediation activities and the underlying root causes are automatically documented to drive continuous improvement. Oversight clients can easily demonstrate to the board, and if ever necessary to the regulatory authorities, that proactive monitoring of business transactions for anti-bribery and corruption risk is an integral part of company operations. With Oversight's Insights on Demand, you can have a best practice approach to identify possible violations in travel and entertainment and procure-to-pay programs. For more information, visit us at oversightsystems.com.
Innovation indeed. I hope you will join me for the entire one-month series on innovation. I'm going to take a look at artificial intelligence, social media, leadership, and structural innovations. I think you will find it a fascinating month, and at the end of the month, you will have multiple tools and techniques which you can utilize to make your compliance program not only more effective, but operationalized, more efficient, and helping you to create greater profitability for your organization. This podcast, 1 Month to a Better Compliance Program, is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. Day 7, how blockchain will transform compliance. I believe one of the most significant innovations in compliance will come through the incorporation of blockchain into the compliance function. I see great value propositions for the compliance function. The key to blockchain is creating a secure environment among multiple actors in which the actors can record events and transactions in real time in shared ledgers. These ledgers are immutable, meaning they cannot be modified and secure from potential hacking or modification. Blockchain users can receive real-time reports of activities without having to rely on ad hoc post hoc reports. As a consequence, a specific user can flag potential red flags early, almost in real time when an event occurs, based on specific settings they establish for monitoring blockchain events. The transformations which blockchain may facilitate in the corporate world could lead to some truly revolutionary modifications in key business processes. So, first, blockchain is a business process. It's a tool in a business process. And in a business transaction, you cannot email money, so you can email a document. The company must see intermediaries to establish trust and maintain integrity around these documents. Banks, governments, and in some cases, big technology companies have the ability to confirm identity so that we can safely transfer assets. The intermediaries settle transactions and keep records. For the most part, these intermediaries do an adequate job, with some notable exceptions. However, one concern is that they use servers that are vulnerable to crashes, fraud, and hacks. What would happen if there were an internet of value where parties to a transaction could store and exchange value without the need for traditional intermediaries? That is the answer that blockchain potentially provides. It is a transportation method to verify and approve transactions that are encrypted. Not only would this lower transaction costs and perhaps even barriers to doing business, but allow greater expansion of business into new geographic areas through the use of previously external resources which were thought to be prohibitively expensive or were indeed prohibitively expensive. Think of the possibilities in compliance for supply chain and vertical integration. There are several specific areas from the value of blockchain that could enhance the operationalization of compliance into the fabric of your organization. In both HR and procurement, blockchain will enable organizations requiring specialized talent and capabilities to better obtain information about potential contractors and partners that many traditional recruitment and procurement methods offer. This means that with a potential third-party business partner's consent, a company may have access to a cache of information that is known to be correct because it has been uploaded, stored, and managed on a highly secure, distributable database. Such potential business partners will not be able to misrepresent their capabilities on such information entered in blockchain. Further, tampering with the data after the fact would not be possible. It would involve taking over the entire blockchain, which is nearly an impossible task. This is made even more powerful in the area of financial reporting. Typically, a search is a horizon across the web and vertical within particular websites. What you find out is out of date or inaccurate in other ways information. On blockchain, though, there's a third dimension, sequential. In addition to being able to obtain a historical picture of the company since it has been incorporated, you can see what has occurred within the last few minutes. The opportunity to search a company's complete record of value will have profound implications for transparency as it brings to light off-book transactions and hidden accounts. People responsible for records and reports will be able to create filters that allow stakeholders to find what they are searching for at the press of a button. Companies will be able to create transaction ticker tapes and dashboards, some for internal use. This will be extremely helpful in the difficult vetting of third parties around financial information. In the sales realm, blockchain would be most helpful in understanding with whom you are doing business, and more particularly, if the company is a state-owned enterprise. The same information you would consider about potential third-party sales agents would be available from customers. Obviously, this would be critical in any FCPA analysis, but it could also pay big results in anti-money laundering compliance. Sellers won't have to incur the cost of establishing trust. They can facilitate transactions that would have been risky or might have not been possible otherwise. Finally, there could be a data security plus as blockchains eliminate the need for the cost of warehousing data and protecting other people's data from security breaches. Here, think of Equifax. There are two specific areas where I see blockchain directly impacting the compliance profession. The first is with third parties. A company could maintain immutable records of its due diligence process for a specific third party or a specific regulatory requirement. Due diligence delays could be eliminated by providing immediate and real-time reports, immediate access to data, collection of information from potential third parties, and analysis of the information. A compliance officer could expedite the entire verification and validation process. The second area where blockchain provides a potential game changer is in the area of contracts, specifically around compliance terms and conditions. Blockchain facilitate contracting in both short and long term. Through smart contracts, software that in effect mimics the logic of contracts with guaranteed execution, enforcement, and payment terms and conditions, companies would be able to automate the terms of agreement. This means if a company develops contract programs to run on blockchain, it can incorporate the required compliance terms and conditions, and with blockchain, it can trigger alerts and ensure compliance. This could be expanded to include compliance training, annual certification, or another ongoing obligation, compliance, legal, or otherwise. Blockchain could eliminate some of the more egregious scandals we have recently received, beginning as far back as Enron and up through Volkswagen and Wells Fargo. Blockchain can help to codify ethics and integrity into the circuitry of an enterprise or reduce the moral hazard that too often sees management gambling with shareholder capital. Through smart contracts, under blockchain, shareholders would be able to enforce commitments that executives make. Companies can specify relationships and state specific outcomes and goals so that everyone understands what the respective parties have signed up to do and whether those things are being actually done. This final point sounds to me quite a bit like operationalizing compliance. It will be interesting to see what the Department of Justice and SEC say when they begin to comment on blockchain as a part of a best practices compliance program. So what are today's three key takeaways? Number one, blockchain has great potential for the compliance profession, obviously in third-party due diligence, contracts, payments, and a wide variety of others. Number 2, as I mentioned, blockchain can facilitate third-party due diligence and update requirements literally on an ongoing basis. And number 3, blockchain can provide a clear trigger for violations of compliance terms and conditions. Thank you for joining me on day 7 of 1 month of innovation and compliance, and I hope you will join me tomorrow for day 8. This is Tom Fox again. I'd like to thank you again for listening to this episode of 1 month to more effective innovation and compliance. If you have listened to this podcast on iTunes, I hope that you would rate our podcast, as would help in our rankings and help get the word out about the only monthly podcast series in compliance, which will help you create a better compliance program. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This is Tom Fox. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.